Hey there, and welcome to Chow's Rambling with Insights, episode number 9. And so, as usual, just picking up the kids. And yeah, I'm really excited about my next book, 10,000 Hours of Play, which will come out. The Kickstarter is going to come out at the end of February, I believe, if everything goes well. And then the official book release will be, probably end of March. So yeah, really excited about that. And today I want to talk about a real life game skill, which is step 4 in our 10K HP 6-step process, which is enhancing your skills. And the real life game skill is called Thunderclap. And a Thunderclap is a paladin skill, which is not usual, I guess, in fiction and literature. It's usually the Hulk. He claps his hands so hard that he, it shakes the foundations of the world and all that stuff, right? So, but the Thunderclap for a paladin is actually the ability to make such a powerful, persuasive speech that it shocks them to their foundation, and because of that, they it actually changes their life. They do different life decisions. And one of the most famous thunderclaps, I'd say, is Martin Luther King Jr. when he says, I have a dream, right? And supposedly that is one of the most iconic openings and speeches that shook the foundations of people in society, and they get motivated, driven. So one character really highlighted the thunderclap is this guy named Sun Yat-sen. And Sun Yat-sen was the founding father of modern day, I would say, China, but Chinese people. So he overthrew the Qing dynasty, the last emperor, in a sense. I mean, there's some nuance to that, but basically he did that. And his disciples basically shot out to being, Mao Zedong of the Chinese Communist Party, but also Chiang Kai-shek of the Taiwanese Republic of China, where I grew up. And the Chinese people in Singapore respect him. Like, a lot of people respect him as the founding father. And politics aside, which I will write in my book 10,000 Hours of Play, and how he is amazing at building alliances everywhere he went. My main point is that he was very, very good at persuasive speech. And so so supposedly there was this point where, because the Qing dynasty wanted him dead, right? Because he's a revolutionist, he wanted to overthrow the Qing dynasty, and they bribed all the people on his ship. So they captured him, tied him up, and apparently he made a speech, and then they all let him go. They already took the money, they took the bribery, and he made a speech, and they let him go. So pretty crazy, right? And there's one time where the Qing, there was a Qing official who was sent. This is in the early days. A Qing official went to investigate Sun Yat-sen, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this Sun Yat-sen, he's just like a little pirate somewhere. I don't really care about him." And they had a conversation, and this Qing official came after the meeting, said, "Oh wow, this guy is gonna change the foundation of Chinese history." Right? It's like, wow, how does in one conversation the guy who is supposedly an opponent and someone who's a higher ranking person go from, yeah, you're like nothing, to, wow, you are, someone who will change the foundation of history and society, right? That's insane. And there was even another point where there was another assassin. I think the bounty on Sunny's head was the equivalent, was $500,000 in currency 100 years ago. Okay, this guy was like end of the 1800s to early 1900s, right? So 130 years ago was $500,000. And so there was an assassin who broke into his home, was going to assassinate him, and somehow, again, he made a speech to this guy, and this assassin, not only let him go, apparently, supposedly, he was so ashamed of himself for even trying it, he committed suicide a couple months later, okay? And again, and obviously this sounds like all like legend, right, and myth, but the person who wrote of this occurrence is actually a respected British professor. It's Sun Yat-sen's professor, and he's the dean of the medical school. His name is Cantley, James Cantley, I believe, and he actually is very well respected. He's knighted. He pioneered some of the the first aid techniques in the whole world. And even right now, there's something in surgery called the Cantley line in one of your organs or something like that. So he is a well-established, respected medical professional, a dean of a school. And he is the one who wrote in his book that Sun Yat-sen made a speech and this assassin killed himself after regretting his actions so much. Okay, so this guy, super legendary, right? Just based on how well he can talk. And so let's go into quickly about what it takes to build that, right? How do you do a thunderclap? And I wouldn't say I'm the top expert at doing a thunderclap. So, in 10,000 hours of play, we will recommend actual top experts who are good at doing this. And we'll recommend like things that, books or YouTube channels and courses that, we're not non-affiliated, but it's just, we verify that it's really, really good and powerful. But just from, I think I'm not a great speaker, to be honest. I think my speech pattern, the way I talk, sometimes it's a little bit more mumbly. I have a nasally voice and all that stuff. So I actually don't think I'm a very persuasive, I'm a great speaker. But somehow I do build a fan base. People watch me speak and they like it and they follow me. I have many fans of all different ethnicities and cultures and whatnot, right? And there are all sorts of people who are fans and they're shy to talk to me, and they ask their friend to come to me and sign their books and whatnot. So I obviously am relatively successful at doing this, maybe because I have good content or maybe because I have this weird energy. I'm not sure what it is, or if they send something, but I have some thoughts. To do a thunderclap, I think first of all you need to have a strong voice, okay, a strong certain voice. We call it the power voice. Now actually Sun Yat-sen doesn't have the strongest power voice. They say that he wasn't like shouting and like doing like a sermon like, oh yeah, you should do this. He was like very calm but self-assured, and he spoke with a lot of strength. Okay, he didn't speak with a lot of volume or passion per se. He spoke with a lot of strength. But at least the second part, which is you need to speak with a lot of conviction. You need to show that you believe in this higher meaning and purpose, right? That's what's a paladin skill. It's not a warrior skill. Warrior skills are like selling people, closing deals. Paladin skills are about telling you something that's greater. Like, I don't care if you sign my contract or not. I don't care if you follow me or not. I am telling the absolute truth. And this truth is worth dying for. And that is magnetic, okay? People follow paladins not because they try to gain followers, but because they follow the light. They show the light, and people follow the light that the paladin is talking about, right? And so Sun Yat-sen, he talks about like, hey, I'm not afraid of my own life. You can kill me. I don't care. If I was afraid of being killed or tortured to death, his best friend was tortured to death since his first revolution. He did 10 failed revolutions. Okay, the first one, his best friend was tortured to death. And this is like medieval Qin dynasty torture, right? It's not just like putting your head in the water. They would like cut off your eyelids, cut off your fingers, pull out your nail. I'm sorry for all this graphics. But it's like, Sun says like, hey, if I was afraid of death or being tortured to death, I would not be doing my profession, okay? I wouldn't be doing this role, which is step 3, choosing a role in 10k HP. I'm not afraid of death, but this thing that I want is so much greater that even if you kill me, you should continue to follow this. You should believe in this. And so to have a thunderclap, you need to have thunder, right? Something greater than yourself. You need to have a lot of conviction, and you need to show that you care about them. So he has this thing about when he talks to people feel like, wow, he has this radiating empathy and care. He's a human being. He's not a target. And I think Nelson Mandela also really had that. Fun story. My father actually had a photo of him shaking hands with Nelson Mandela in South Africa. So anyway, so that's really important. And so when people see that, wow, you believe in so much that you're willing to die for it, and you're not afraid, but you want this, that's when they feel like, wow, your speech has power, has purpose, has conviction. And these people who are assassinating him, they're also Chinese people, right? So he's doing it for all of Chinese people. So it's like, I'm ashamed that I am not on your team, right? I'm trying to kill you. I should be risking my life for your mission. But in fact, I'm here trying to stop your mission and kill you for money. I feel so ashamed, right? And that's when it happens. So let me end up this. And again, pretty political and sensitive, right? So, but this is just whatever Chow's rambling with insights. I think this is why Elon Musk already kind of in that, but Mark Zuckerberg especially started respecting Trump. Okay, Elon Musk, when Trump was his first presidency, Elon Musk didn't really cared about Trump. He's like, yeah, this guy's a maniac. I don't care about him. Mark Zuckerberg obviously publicly protests against Trump as a far left-leaning liberal entrepreneur from California, right? Just like my background. And but if you know, the turning point of both of them started supporting Trump was when Trump got shot by a bullet, right? Because to be honest, you know, people are debating whether Trump is a good entrepreneur, if he's a big billionaire, small billionaire. To them, he's a tiny billionaire, right? He's like, if he has a billion, he's a 1 billionaire, maybe a 3 or 5 billionaire, right? Maybe 10 billion, whatever, right? He's a small billionaire. These people, they have, you know, 100, like Elon Musk has 300 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's around 100 billion, 50 to 100 maybe. So they don't look at Trump and feel like, wow, he's a great businessman. He is an entrepreneur. I respect his business endeavors. No, they don't. But when he got shot with a bullet and he was and then he started getting up and pumping their fists, they're like, oh, wow, I cannot do that, right? It doesn't matter how much money I have, how many billions I have. When I get shot by a gun, I'm most likely be just hiding in the crowd, right? I'm fearful for my life. And it wasn't just gunfire. I got shot in the ear. I'm bleeding, and I still stand up and I pump my fist. Like, wow, I can never do that. And that's when they started respecting Donald Trump. Okay. You know, that's when Elon Musk started really rallying for Donald Trump, right? He's like started joining the campaigns and whatnot. And that was when Mark Zuckerberg first said, wow, don't you think it's like a badass that he was able to do that? That's when Mark Zuckerberg first like admired that trait. So, and this is when people feel like, oh, wow, there is something that this person believes that through his action shows that it's bigger than his life. Now, of course, people will say, oh yeah, it's still his narcissism and all that stuff. So whatever it is, at least these billionaires, in their perception, they see it as he uses action to show that he's a strong leader who believes in something bigger than his own life. And that's how he did a thunderclap on these other billionaires, and that's how they started supporting him. Again, you can like him, dislike him. I'm just talking about what's effective to play his 10,000 hours of play game and how you could learn the same lessons and obviously apply it to what you think is good and positive. All right, this is Yukai Chou signing off. Bye.